Hello and welcome everyone to Home Office Hours Live with Vistaprint. Thank you so much for joining us today. If this is the first Home Office Hours that you are hopping on, this is a series of live discussions on timely topics, and we're going to be featuring guest speakers as well as our very own Vistaprint team members. We know that small business needs have changed during these crazy times, and we wanted to help, so we created this series as a way for us all to connect and share advice. Today, we have with us Brit Wilkins, who is the co-owner of veteran-owned Etsy boutique Freedom Found Company. We've featured Freedom Found Company previously before, so this may not be the first time that you're seeing Brit. She has been on our Vistaprint podcast and in our ideas and advice articles, and we have her back with us today to talk about selling online. Brit, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Corey. I'm so excited today.
Me too. So obviously, selling online is a huge topic, and there is so much to cover. Today, we're going to really hone in on the digital experience and some Etsy basics. A couple of housekeeping items before we jump into it. We are going to take questions at the end of the session, but you can feel free to submit your questions all throughout the whole time. Use the Q&A button if you're joining us on the Zoom, and you can use the comment function if you're joining us on the Facebook live stream. And the recording will be available tomorrow, most likely at the end of day today, but we say tomorrow to give us a little bit of time. And that will be up on Vistaprint's YouTube channel, as well as emailed out to anybody who registered on the Zoom. So let's hop into it. Britt, I would love to have you start by sharing a little bit about Freedom Found Company. What are your products? What's your mission? Where do you sell?
Yeah, absolutely. So my husband is a combat veteran, and he served tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. And when we chose to exit the military, we were hit pretty hard with the transition into the civilian world, as most military families will tell you. And so during this time, I was actively living through this sort of corporate America experience. My background is in graphic design and brand storytelling, and I became frustrated almost immediately upon entering the corporate world. And so in that moment, it was like, here we are battling the war at home. And then I'm feeling, terribly unfulfilled and really used in my day job. And so I started planning my escape from corporate life. And I just wanted to stop giving all my goods and gifts ultimately to these big companies. And that's when Freedom Found Co. was born. And so here at Freedom Found Co., we sell American-made apparel. We also have small batch wooden wick candles. We have pom-pom beanies and some other fun stuff. And so our identity is founded in God and country. And we have a very strong mission. And our mission drives everything we do. We always say we are a giving couple with a side hustle. So our mission is to bring 22 to none. And that's a reference to the 22 veterans a day that take their own lives. That's one veteran every 65 minutes. And so to accomplish this, we donate a large portion of all of our proceeds to our premier partner, Leashes of Valor. And they ultimately pair rescue animals with struggling veterans. And so today, our shop exists on the Etsy marketplace and platform.
Well, that is definitely an admirable mission. And I think it's safe to say that Freedom Found Co.'s story is probably really important for your customers to understand. So how do you tell this story that you just told us throughout the customer journey?
Yeah, and so storytelling is pretty complicated. My advice is finding your niche and embracing that, understanding that you will never be everyone's cup of tea, and that's a good thing. Lots of famous podcasters out there are preaching about going against the grain, but when you actually take that leap and you start actually swimming against the current, it's pretty scary, but it's also invigorating. And it's those sort of unknown waters where you really start to take off and you start to see the light kind of come through in your business. And so for us, it's really about capturing the heart of the buyer to entice a purchase. And we do this through immersive storytelling. And we're carefully dripping that story over the course of what we call our brand DNA throughout that Freedom Found Company purchase experience. And so this is a point to point or an end to end strategy. And this is one of the biggest missed opportunities in digital and online shopping today. And so I like to equate this to having an incredible Airbnb experience, right? Most of us have gone to an Airbnb, we've sought one out, either we're seeking a certain destination or we're just looking for a place to go and we may not even have a destination in mind. We just want to stay at a cool place. And so ultimately, as the consumer and that experience, it really starts with having great listing photos, right? Alongside the competitive price, right? So you have to have a competitive price. It's based on the uniqueness and the quality of what you're offering. And that's going to extend all the way through the stay itself. Things like, are the linens comfortable? Did you really have a good night's sleep? Are the coffee filters actually there? And is the
So important.
location, you know, everything you expected, or is it maybe above and beyond? And so when you leave, are you excited to leave a 5-star review? And online shops need to get on board with this mentality. You should be hitting all of the anticipated marks of the online experience, but you should be absolutely crushing the competition on all of the above and beyond opportunities. So every step of the way, right, when they land on our website or they land on Freedom Found Co. Instagram, from our photography to the item description, all the way through the box selection. And we even put customized packaging tape. This is pretty things inside, to the tissue paper and our story cards that talk about our mission. We even give a toy soldier in our boxes. Our customers feel like they're a part of something, and they realize right away that they've stumbled into sort of this special subculture experience, which is exactly what sets our small business apart. And it makes them feel special and authentic. So I do have a box today. Would you be interested in seeing that?
Yes. Yes, that would be awesome.
Okay, awesome. So first and foremost, this is what not to do. You know, I think we've all purchased things on Etsy. And so this is a basic missed opportunity, in my opinion. And so we do purchase our boxes in bulk through Uline. They're a great supplier. So this is what one of our boxes looks like. And you can see the packaging tape. It says pretty things inside. It goes all the way around the box. It has our logo on there. And we also have this sticker as well that has our logo. And we do get those printed from Vistaprint. And when you open the box, immediately, it sort of feels like you're getting this warm hug from America. So if there's a gift message, ultimately we're using stickers. And then as you open it up, once you break through that Made in America sticker, which is really important to us because our products are made in America, ultimately you get to our story card. And this is also printed by Vistaprint. This is a menu. So this is meant to be used in a restaurant, but it's super high quality and we really like the way that these turned out. But ultimately we tell our story. We have pictures of our family and my husband's service. And then on the back, this is all the things, all the instructions. We're encouraging people to follow us on social media. We're encouraging people to favorite our shop on Etsy. And so this is usually a great way. We call these leave behinds. It's something that you leave behind. We also have something on the back here that says, remember us on the holidays and on birthdays. And so put this on your fridge. And so you can remember our shop in the event that you don't favorite it or you forget, you can put this on your fridge. And then as you open, ultimately, your tissue paper, try to hold this up so you guys can see. Inside you have, you know, whatever you purchased in this particular box. This is a shirt. And then there's a little toy soldier, which I mentioned. We give these in all of our boxes, and we do have the traditional American made toy soldier. So they are wax pressed in America. And then we have our 22 card. So this is just a business card, also printed by Vistaprint. Talks about Leashes of Valor, talks about our mission. And then on the back, it says, we hope that this little guy reminds you of the actual soldier that is fighting for our freedoms. And then we have a little list of recommendations. Put them in a succulent garden, put them on your Christmas tree, put them on your desk at work, so that, again, we're really leaving a big impression there. And ultimately, I will show you the shirt as well. And then you just have the shirt that you open up, and it's, you know, this is a muscle tank ultimately. But what we've done is we've created a really interesting subculture unboxing experience that, again, is going to make the customer feel very special and very authentic personally.
Yeah, I definitely think it's so unique and memorable. It's not at all generic like the first packages that you showed. I think it's definitely a special experience to get something like that. And I love how you're bringing the story all the way through from the beginning when they land on your shop to actually like receiving it in hand And I do think that is a huge opportunity to go all the way through end to end, like you said.
Yep.
What else are you focusing on when you're building out that digital experience for your customers?
So our digital experience, we're ultimately trying to be as engaging as possible. So for us in particular, what I would encourage other small business owners to do is we're always engaging on Instagram stories and pushing out what we would consider brand appropriate content that's going above and beyond like just our apparel or our products. So for example, we are indulging our following in multiple layers of our brand DNA. So for Freedom Bound Co., our brand DNA, I mentioned we're founded on God and country. We are a military family. We love America. We have a very strong fitness following, a yoga following. We obviously pride ourselves on our Christian values. So our external conversations that are happening socially are going to immerse you in all of those things. And so these are not just obligatory photos of our candles or our tank tops that's on our social media. And we get incredible feedback and a lot of engagement because of that. And so I would much rather have a, a group of engaged followers than empty followers and no real fanship. And so what I want to say too is that you are not getting any of this on Amazon. Okay. And so this is ultimately what it takes to compete against the Amazons of the world or other Etsy owners or other Shopify shops. And I promise you that if you keep your external social conversations and that group engaged, you will stay afloat. You will be able to compete with Amazon, other Shopify individuals and Etsy groups, and you will also be able to stay afloat in the age of COVID-19, in my opinion.
Yes, I think a lot of these things that you've talked about they're just such differentiators. It definitely makes the experience special. So from the packaging to engaging with your followers on social, where they really become your fans and not just like those empty followers that you mentioned.
Yes.
So let's get into Etsy now. I know it's a really big topic. I learned that from chatting with you earlier, and we are hoping to make it its own dedicated episode. But let's just scratch the surface during this time. And can you share with us some snackable basics about selling successfully on Etsy? Ones that apply generally as well as during this obviously very busy holiday season.
Yes, absolutely. We could certainly dedicate hours to this topic. Let me hit some of the basics. I think number one, photography. This is 101 for any shop because you're online ultimately. And so unless you have a storefront, when you're shopping online, your photography needs to be top of the line. And so, yes, you can take really good photos with the iPhone nowadays or the Android phone, but ultimately this is a place that I'm pretty firm about not skimping on. And so I would encourage small business owners to spend the extra money and either go to Costco on Black Friday and get yourself a Nikon or a Canon and become self-taught by watching YouTube, or hire a photographer to take great listing photos, because ultimately, remember, the consumer is not there and you want them to understand all the angles of whatever it is that you're selling so that there's no surprises when they ultimately get that item in the mail. Etsy, number of listings. This is really interesting. So Etsy in particular, you have to have a certain number of listings and you have to pay for each listing as an Etsy owner. But if you don't have a certain number of listings, which 100 is usually kind of the first marker, their SEO rank is not going to be very friendly to you. So if you are very, very small and you're just starting out, I would highly encourage you to work very quickly and swiftly. Get started. Don't be afraid to launch your business, but work very quickly to build your product offering to hit that 100 listings marker. And I mentioned SEO rank. So Etsy is just like Google. It's just like Shopify, where depending on the way that you're categorizing your products, the tags that you're using on your products, the drop downs that you're selecting when you're creating your listings, SEO rank is really important, and it will punish you if you are not doing the basics. And so this seems overwhelming, I think, especially to new business owners, or even people that have been on Etsy. But it's really not that big of a mountain. And what Etsy does a really good job of is there's a ton of articles out there on their community forums that talk all about SEO. So they literally give you the answers. These are the 10 things you need to do in order to ultimately become higher in that search rank when someone is searching for a certain item or for your shop. And so I would highly encourage Etsy small business owners to look at those community forums.
That's a
A
great
big one as well is reviews. We're all consumers, and it's interesting because when you're on the consumer side of the desk, it's very easy to get frustrated if something goes wrong. And when you're on the
Mhm.
small business owner side of the desk, it can be, very frustrating if you do get a negative review. And so my position on this is reviews are an opportunity. They are a great chance to really grow your business. And so we pride ourselves on having great customer service and good communication. And the thing about Etsy in particular, though, that I wanted to mention is Etsy has a very particular review process. And so let's just say, for example, you get a 2-star review on a particular item, and you do have the ability to respond to that review publicly on the forum. However, once you respond to that review as an Etsy owner, it will actually not allow you to change that review ever again. And so I highly encourage not just knowing that
It's an
information.
interesting quirk.
It is, but going directly to the purchaser and just really trying to smooth the waters with them, give them a refund, ultimately do whatever you can do to make it right to try and push that up to 5 stars. And then obviously, if you cannot, for whatever reason, get them to increase their review, then I would ultimately always respond to the review. And then lastly, I'll say videos is a big new change for Etsy. And I personally, as a buyer, if I see something on Pinterest that takes me to your Etsy shop, and you have a 5 to 15 second video that's going to show me the angles in person and I can see you touching it and feeling it, I'm going to be much more apt to make a purchase. So I think those are 5 quick snackable items specific to Etsy that I think would be really helpful to an Etsy owner.
This is great. Thank you. It's such a great introduction. There's so much to learn about Etsy, which truly I didn't even know before we had this conversation. So I think this is really helpful for getting started.
Sure.
So I feel like we've touched on kind of 3 key areas here with storytelling, the digital experience, and then obviously Etsy being its whole own thing. How does all of this that you're doing, how do you see this as helping create return customers and gaining you this new audience?
Yeah. A really good question. Ultimately, what I see, the way that I visualize this is 2 different buyers. You have buyer 1 and then you have buyer 2. And so buyer 1 is making a purchase for themselves. Okay, this is somebody that's going to actually physically experience the unboxing and the unveiling firsthand. And then buyer 2 is maybe making a purchase for someone else as a gift. And so you have got to ensure that your online experience is above and beyond so that they come back ultimately as a return buyer, because they are not the individual that is actually going through the unboxing experience. And so what you want to try to do is, I mentioned all the steps along the way. We even have a listing photo on every single listing that says our mission, so that if I'm buying a gift, if I'm buying a campfire candle for you, Corey, and I know I'm not going to get the box, I can at least see that I'm supporting a better known business. And so making sure that you're telling the story all along the way. And then ultimately what you want to do is the person that receives the box, you want to motivate them beyond just a simple thank you that they're going to give to the person that sent it. You want them to be in a position where they want to brag about this awesome experience and the storytelling elements of your box. And if you cover those two bases, buyer 1 and buyer 2, that's how you get return customers.
Well, thank you. This has been so informative. I want to give some time to the audience to ask some questions too. So again, if you're on Zoom, you can use the Q&A button there at the bottom of your screen. If you're on Facebook, you can use the comment function. So we've got a couple here that I will start with. So Britt, was there a strategic decision you made to sell online versus having a physical presence? And how did you make that decision if you did?
Yeah, ultimately, we chose to go online. At the time, we were a military family. We knew we were going to be moving around a lot. We moved 9 times in the past 7 years. And so for us, it was a no-brainer. We also we developed a plan. And so for people that maybe aren't a military family and you're choosing between having a cute boutique, which I think is something that a lot of small business owners fantasize about, having a boutique, being able to stage things and buy antique furniture and use shelving. And we sort of go through these DIY fantasies. And I think that's a piece of the entrepreneurial mindset in general, is to create that customer in-store experience, because we've all been exposed to really good experiences. And I think sometimes we think, gosh, I could do that, or I could do that better. Or, it's just sort of a fantasy that I think we want to live out. And so for us, a boutique was never off the table. Ultimately, we created, 7 different silos where we thought, okay, in 5 to 10 years, what's the goal? And then we sort of worked backwards from that 10 years, 8 years, 6 years, 4 years, 2 years. And for us, starting on online, building a group of fanship and followership was really sort of step one. But ultimately, a boutique has been something that's always been on our mind. We did settle in Dallas, Texas. We are here to stay. We are not moving. And so it's
Congratulations.
definitely something, post-COVID as well, that I would really encourage people to do. Once we do get over the economic hardship of this, there's probably going to be a lot of places for lease that are going to be most likely lower in cost. And so
That's
I would
very
highly
true,
encourage
yeah.
that. And so don't necessarily turn the in-person experience off the radar completely.
Mhm.
But for us, it made sense based on our personal situation and where we ultimately were at that time.
Awesome. Thank you. Our next question here, this is a fun one. Which of your products is your favorite, and which is your favorite to give as a gift?
Oh, goodness. So ultimately, I really am a fan of our apparel. We have American made apparel. It is buttery soft. And I live in it. I mean, I work out in it. I beat it up. I've washed our items 1,000 times and they hold up strong. We use Bella and Canvas as one of our premier suppliers. So they are made in America. A lot of their stuff is sustainably sourced. So it's very ethical. And so I'm always pushing for any female across the spectrum, because we don't have men's apparel yet, but it is coming. It's one of the biggest questions we get, but our apparel is definitely something it's a no-brainer. It's going to make anybody happy, whether you're expecting, if you're postpartum, if you're, young and you want to wear a cute tank top. And obviously it's very visual. A lot of our stuff is sort of contemporary and kind of wild-hearted. So you really get to wear, I think, the way you feel on your shirt in a way that's respectful, but is also fun. So yeah, if I had to pick, I would say our apparel is a no-brainer. And then obviously our campfire candles have been a smash hit. So these are made in America as well. These are basically ceramic campfire mugs that we put a wood and wick candle inside. And so we have, I think, over 100 scent profiles to choose from. So if you know that the person likes a certain scent, go ahead and give that campfire candle. That's the perfect gift, ultimately, because it has a double life. You get to enjoy the candle. It's that, crackling wooden wick. It's going to smell amazing. And then you get to use the
And then you
mug
get a mug.
afterward.
Yeah. That's awesome. I know I personally have been burning so many more candles now that I am working from home all the time.
It's true.
Suddenly, not really something you can burn on your desk in an office, but when you're at home, you can.
That's right.
So our next question here, I know that you mentioned Shopify earlier. So the question is, have you tried any e-commerce platforms outside of Etsy? Anything that you could weigh in on there?
Yeah. So in my earlier days in graphic design, I do have a BA in graphic design, and we were able to experiment with lots of different sites, such as Wix, which is ultimately a sort of create your own website type experience. It's very drag and drop in regards to end user. If you're not maybe particularly knowledgeable in coding or developing, so it's very easy for just the average person. I've looked at multiple different options around creating something myself versus using a marketplace, and I would highly recommend a marketplace. And so for us, Etsy was the right choice because I knew there was going to be a constant flow. You can turn on things like I want Etsy to make my listings participate or opt my listings in to Google ads or Pinterest ads. And so you don't even have to go on Google and do any of that or Pinterest. Etsy will just do it for you. And so there's all these dashboards where you can see if you're performing well or if you're not performing well. And so for me, as I'm a mom as well, I have a young daughter. It's a lot easier to not have to take that time out of my day to create additional marketing that I would traditionally have to push out on
Yeah.
Instagram to get people to land on my page or discover me if I wasn't on a platform like Etsy where they're actually bringing the marketplace to my shop. Shopify is the same. Their marketplace works a little differently, but they do create what I love about Shopify is if you have ever purchased an item from Shopify, you can go back time and time again, and it will show your shop to that individual. You remember that you purchased from here. It will also make recommendations because you purchased from Freedom Co. We think that this other shop is a good idea, not necessarily for competitors, but there is still a marketplace there. So for us, the intrinsic difference was if we build something ourselves, it's going to be a lot of work and a lot of marketing dollars to get people to land on that actual shop page versus Etsy, which is just ultimately making things a lot more simplified. I hope that answers the question.
It does, yes. Yeah, I think that's a great breakdown of some of the other ones that you've tried. And it definitely seems like they're very helpful in kind of consolidating and making your life a little bit easier.
Definitely.
Right. So I don't see any more questions right now. We do have a few more minutes. So if you have any last questions, feel free to submit them. In the meantime, we usually like to end these by asking our panelists their final thought from the discussion. So Britt, is there one key takeaway that you want everybody to walk away with?
Certainly. My key takeaway is run the race marked out for you. Be courageous and be brave. Be who you are. Never apologize for that. Bring people into your company family and create an immersive subculture experience with strong storytelling throughout your end-to-end experience. And that's not only going to make your supporters feel really authentic and really special and like they're a part of something, but it's going to keep them coming back for more.
I love that. Thank you. So I don't
Thanks,
see any more
Mike.
questions. So I think we'll wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We
It
are
was
going to
a
be
blast.
hosting.
Thank you so much for having me. And remember Freedom Found Co. for the holidays.
Yes, definitely. I think we're all going to be making a lot of purchases soon. I know I am because I haven't done anything yet, so I need to get on that. We are going to be hosting these regularly. We'll be doing them twice a month. We'll be covering a lot of relevant topics. As we mentioned, we're going to be looking at doing an Etsy dedicated one soon, but we definitely want to hear from the audience on other topics that you'd like to hear. So there is a quick survey at the end. It's super short. Take just a couple minutes, let us know what you'd like to hear, and we will do our best to try and cover it. And you can also find some more small business resources and tips at vistaprint.com/hub. And then finally, if you did register for this on Zoom, check your email tomorrow and you'll get the recording and some more helpful links. So this has been Home Office Hours Live, and we'll talk with you soon.